little step.
So how much more money do I owe you?
This little puny bumper. And I ain't gonna cut it. This thing's finally starting to look like something.
1934 Buick.
It looks perfect.
I'll tell her we're cutting this up.
We'll take this original engine out, put a late model Chevy in it.
We're gonna piss some people off.
We're gonna show it the respect it deserves.
Get some shocks in here.
He wants this thing to be able to drop on the ground also.
Holy shit, that's beautiful. And it's not yellow.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
That's them, huh?
That's it, man.
8-inch springs.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need.
It's perfect.
It's going to put this thing in the perfect ride height.
That's way
Let's
better
go ahead and
than
get these things underneath here. Get little one. Let's knock this thing out. Let's get it bolted up. Everything is extra large on this 1996 International dump truck. It's one of the biggest builds we've ever done size-wise.
All right, let's go.
We have these leaf springs arched an extra 8 inches. You know, it's not every day we get to convert a huge old work truck into a show-quality, flatbed, militaristic truck. But man, when we're done, there's not going to be another one like it.
That was kind of difficult.
That was a little difficult. You ready for the next one?
Hey, yeah, let's do it real quick. I know that look.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do to the dump truck. A lot. I mean, rear suspension, parallel 4-link with the big, huge triple convoluted bags.
You do the whole rear end, hangers, 4-link, bag mounts, shock mount. It'll take twice as long to do the back of that truck.
Twice as long to do everything on the truck. Build the bumper, paint the thing, the whole interior.
Wasn't the engine really messed up?
Yes, that reminds me too. I put a call in with the one-way diesel guys. They're coming down, and they're going to tidy up the engine compartment and get this thing running good. At least we're getting a custom-made bed for it. It's going to be really cool. Front suspension's done, but, you know, everything's taking so much longer. Everything's bigger, heavier than we're normally working with.
I had a feeling you're fixing to tell me like you need it tomorrow or something.
We got a little time on it, but it's getting way, way behind for sure. Ready to go get after it?
Well, let's go.
Let's go do it, man. We already tore the bed off, made and installed the hangers. Now we can get going on the rear suspension. We got a super huge truck, so we need some super huge bag mount. You know, we usually use 3/16 D plates for the bag mounts, but on this one, we're gonna make bigger, thicker circle plates out of 5/16. This is the foundation of everything. This is gonna support every bit of the truck's weight, so this thing needs to be super strong. Then we'll have our spacer to simulate the bag when it's at ride height. Gonna mount that up underneath the frame. Where they're gonna be, and this thing looks so beefy in the back. I want to continue the bag mounts to look beefy too. So I want something just mean looking, right?
Hell yeah.
So I think we ought to come right off the axle up to the bag mount, and then all the way across to the other bag mount, and then down to the axle.
Okay.
Just with two.
We got it.
We'll just bend it. We're not going to roll it or anything because it's a boxy truck, so we'll continue with just square bends. It's still going to look really cool and be really strong. Looking good, man. We got the diagonal link, got the 4-link, got the bag mounts. You know, one more step.
Shock time.
That's it. We need a bottomed out measurement of our shock. So that's why we made a quick jig. Makes it super easy to duplicate. You know, with the really large size of this truck, you know, it's going to need some good dampening shocks, especially with the big triple bellow bag. You want something that's going to control the bounciness. I mean, that's basically what a shock does. It controls the rebound of the suspension. You know, sometimes it just looks like we throw a shock in place. Oh, building suspensions, placing shocks, you learn what to do and what not to do, and you improve each and every time. Every vehicle is a little different as far as weight, the angle of the shock, how stiff the shock is, relating to the weight of the vehicle, to what type of suspension, how long the suspension bars are. I mean, there's variables on everything. You know, we got some good stiff shocks at the proper angle. This thing's gonna ride really, really good.
Hey man, what's going on?
A good trip for you?
Oh, absolutely. Great roads all the way up to Houston from Oklahoma.
Man, I sure appreciate you coming down.
I think we may have built exactly what you need for this build.
Cool, man. Let's check it out. A lot of times, we just build the new truck beds. But interest of time, I designed one that Billy made just for this truck. Man, first thing you notice is that big wheel well.
Exactly. I hope you got a big enough tire to fit this.
Definitely.
I'll tell you, man, when I saw the drawings, I was concerned, but I know you, it's all good. Got your gooseneck hitch, your receiver hitch built in, so be able to tow and haul with that big rig.
Yeah, this thing's cool. You know, this isn't off the shelf.
It's not off the shelf, I'll assure you. Certainly.
Get off and get it on the truck. How much does this thing weigh, you think?
I don't know. I hadn't built it before.
What's going on, man?
Man, I need your help, buddy. This truck is just big, mean, huge lip, big tires. This little puny bumper.
Man, that ain't gonna cut it.
I want to leave the holes, the hooks, the bumper mounts, everything here.
Okay.
So all I'll have to do is split it right here, straight down here, and then straight across.
We'll just carry that all the way across.
We'll split it like that, and then all I have to do is add 8 inches in the middle. Put it all right back together.
I'm gonna go ahead and section it in the middle. We'll have a much more aggressive bumper that's gonna look perfect on this truck. Alright, so I got my filler piece now to go ahead and connect my bottom of the bumper to the top of the bumper where I section it. If I fit this properly, I won't have any issues down the road when I'm going to weld all this together. Because if it's not lined up, I'll be fighting the metal the whole time I'm welding it. Alright, so I got my centerpiece in. I'm gonna go ahead and start tacking the edges right here to make it a perfect fit. Okay, so I got the bumper looking pretty good, the 8-inch section in there. I'm really happy with the way it fit. So the next thing to do is go ahead and put the side pieces on. You just gotta do it by eye. I like that fancy footwork. It's pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in. So everything looks pretty good. Everything's welded solid. The next step is go ahead and mount it up to the truck and see how it looks.
The owner, John, wants a really unique truck. You know, one that can win trophies, but also get to work. So we're gonna add a winch behind the bumper. With something this size, you never know when you're gonna need one.
Okay, so now that I got the bumper mounted on here and sectioned, everything's good on it. I'm gonna go ahead and start mounting my winch. Try to get the winch centered up somewhat behind the bumper. So first thing is to do is go ahead and start building the brackets and go ahead and mount the winch. Man, that's perfect.
Get this over to Rudy, get it burned out, and get it on the truck.
Winch bracket, I'm gonna go ahead and stick in the brake and put a 90-degree brake on it. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and bring it to the truck and fit it up. Now that I got my winch bracket bolted to my winch, so I'm going to go ahead and put some tack welds on it. Then I'll go ahead and put my bumper on it and check my clearance. So this is pretty much a slide for the cable. Basically, we're trying to center this up with the winch. So we don't want it too high, we don't want it too low. We want it to be centered so when it winds up or unwinds, that it's not in a bind. So it's pretty important to get this pretty close to the center of the winch, the drum, and then it'll be right. I overcut it just a little bit so the winch cable doesn't fray or catch on the metal. Pretty happy with it. Looks good. Looks right where it needs to be. So he'll be able to help people out or help himself out in a bind.
Transforming the overall look of this 1996 International dump truck is so now it's 9 feet long, which is about 3 feet shorter than it was. 9 foot, 109 inches. We're cutting the frame and boxing it in so it'll look like it came from the factory like this. And it'll be just as strong.
Close this gap up.
You know, in the early days of a big build like this, it can be hard to see how we're going to turn the old dump truck into a mean military-looking truck. But you got to keep the faith and just make it happen bit by bit. You know, when a custom car guy and an antique come together, that's just a combination to make something really cool and over the top. You know, Javier's in a lowrider club. He's got to show up and show off. He's got to keep his rep up. We built a ton of cars for Javier, like this 46 Chevy right here. And anytime he calls, we're happy to help.
Hey, Bill. How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Hey, real good. Good to see you.
Man.
Good to see you. Man, your cars are looking good.
Oh, man, thanks. Remember this one?
Yeah, that thing's still looking good, too.
And you did a great job on that. I'm a welder by trade, and I know his welds are perfect. Funny to say that, but
Before you know.
and you've done 3 for me. I've got one more for you, though.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go.
Man, that's a good-looking car.
1934 Buick.
This thing's like new.
80 years old. I found it in North Carolina. Guy had it in the garage for years.
This thing was top of the line back in the day. You don't find many 1934 Buick Model 57s looking this original, this clean. Well, what do you want to do to this? I mean, it looks perfect.
You know, Bill, I like driving. And right now, I can't drive this thing. The car's not reliable. It overheats. So I want to be able to go where I want to go and not have any problems at all.
So what's under the hood now?
It's straight A. You want to look at it?
Wow, this thing is cool.
Pretty old, isn't it?
Straight 8, you don't see that a lot.
No.
So you want to take this original car, take this original engine out, and replace it with something else.
Bill, that's what I want to do.
This is one of the very few times that I'm a little hesitant about taking this car apart.
We're going to piss some people off.
Definitely. Some people are going to be mad.
You know, a lot of people don't like changing parts. They like to keep cars all original, but I like driving them. So
Original engine out, put a late model Chevy in it. That way you got your reliability, fuel economy, power, something you can just get in and drive wherever.
that's what I want, Bill.
That's what you're going to get. If we're already going that far with this thing, we might as well put some air suspension on this thing and get it down really low. I know how you and your boys like to ride low.
We roll fast, but we also roll low.
Gotta lower it.
You gotta lower it.
You know, to even get this thing a little lower, we'll put a little bit lower profile tire and take these wheels and change the color. Just make it stand out a little more.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's got to be it. We can't chop the top or cut the interior out or paint it a different color or anything. I mean, we're already committing blasphemy with the Buick people. You ready to piss some people off?
That's why I called you, Bill.
Man, bringing a car in this old, this original, this cool, it's a shame just to do anything to it other than wash it. And we're just going to tear it all apart. I have my reservations, but I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's us that's going to get our hands on it. We're going to show it the respect it deserves. And, you know, this car is so original. There's nothing been done to it. So we're going to be the first ones to do that. all our parts and pieces that we're going to build are going to make sure the car is done perfect.
Didn't you guys have one of these when you were little? Brand new?
Man, first gotta wash this thing, clean it up a little bit, a little maintenance, right?
Customer's got a different idea on that one.
Don't tell me we're cutting this up.
That's what he wants, man. The problem with this thing is the straight 8 in it is just not reliable for him. He wants something he can just get in, turn the key, start it up, cruise wherever he wants to go, and not have to worry about all the issues that come with the old technology here. So what we're going to do is pull this out, put a late model LS in it, something he can just get in it, hit the key, and go wherever he wants, not have to worry about overheating or anything. We're going to replace the rear end, give him something a little more of a strength to it, man. This one definitely won't hold up to the power LS puts out. New drive line, the whole new running gear, disc brakes, front and back. He wants this thing to be able to drop on the ground also. So we got to replace the straight axle in the front of this thing, replace it with independent front suspension and air suspension on top of that. So when he gets where he's going, drop this thing on the ground.
Hell yeah.
Man, you really don't have any issue cutting this thing up, huh?
If it ain't cut, it ain't custom.
I hear you, man, but we want to give it a little extensive style. Something maybe like a coil pack cover to maybe go with the styling of the car.
It'll make not as many people hate us for putting an LS on this thing.
It doesn't matter what we do. They're going to hate us for pulling this one out. Let's get this thing up on the rack, start tearing it apart.
Cool.
First things first, the little one's got to rip out the old suspension and then the motor.
Man, it's crazy this old car has a gearbox style mechanism on the top of it. Usually they just have a bushing and a straight bolt, but since this is definitely not a gearbox, it's more than likely something with gears and oil. Man, they were smart back then. Everything's pretty much off the bottom. Now we can go ahead and just get this grill off, and then we can pull the engine out. Whew, that was heavier than I thought. Man, dude, look at all those springs.
And they don't really make them like this anymore, do they?
Nah, they don't at all. Here, let's get this on so we can get this motor out of here.
All right. Back it up.
It was like a Cummins engine, it's so huge.
I don't think I've ever seen one like it, man.
I wonder if Al Capone used this car.
Probably not, man. We don't see any bullet holes in this engine.
Designing the suspension on this old school Buick definitely has some challenges. None of our off-the-shelf parts are going to work, so Ryan's got to get busy by making all custom parts.
We're going to start now with making the mounts for the 2 links. As you can see, what we get to work with here, we would typically just make our own cross member, but with the structure and everything that's going on here, I don't think it's necessary. We can reinforce this and build the brackets off of this, and it will work just as well, and it will look great. That's perfect. Taking my templates over to Rudy so you can burn them out. Hey, dude.
What's up?
Is that quarter? That's quarter.
That's quarter.
I was going to have you cut 2 of these out for me so I could just cut this while you were doing that, but since that's quarter, I'm just going to make you cut all of them out for me. I know you're not doing anything over here.
That's what I'm here for, right?
Appreciate you.
Once I get all my curves and lines figured out, I'll trim everything up, transfer it over into the program, cut Ryan's pieces out, clean them up, take them over to him.
Alright, so after I get my pieces cleaned off, get all the slag chipped off of these, I'll take the template and mark the lines where I need a bend. I'll use that other little template that I made. I'll take it over to the big break and I'll just slowly bend it until I get the right radius that I want. Everything we do is trial and error. I'd like to get it on the first time, but I don't always work out that way. Cut that out with the plasma cutter. And tack it in. All right, so we got the plates welded into the frame, stiffen it up. Also gave us a mounting point for our 2-link tabs. The tabs basically will weld to the frame, and this is going to be your mounting point. This is your pivot point here. So this is where it's going to connect to the rear end. We'll start here and move our way to these other cars are built and just so rigid. It's a really rough ride. This would be like night and day difference. It would be riding on a cloud versus riding in a wagon barrel down a gravel road, you know? So I think what we're doing here is a little better.
Dang, man.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, man.
This thing is rough, dude.
The diesel in this dump truck came to us in rough shape. There was a lot of creative fixes and even garden hose under the hood. John, the owner, wants to keep this engine and make it reliable, so I asked the Wells family to come on in and get this thing running right.
Bro wasn't lying, was he?
No, I can see why they call it the dump truck.
This thing is terrible, man. Got some electrical tape there.
On a fuel hose? That's a hazard just waiting to happen.
Yeah, we've got our work cut out for us, man. First things first, let's get this big honking piece of trash off here. Let's clean that up with a newer, updated intake.
Help it breathe a little more?
Yeah, get a little more power out of it. We need to change out all the radiator hoses, get all this stuff cleaned up. Watch out. You'll give it a little more appeal under the hood.
That insulation is not going to work. We're going to have to rip that out. We'll probably have to do something about the heat, so we'll heat wrap this sound pipe. What we have here is exhaust wrap. Just say firewall, getting your feet nice and hot. It also helps clean up your engine bay and make it look a lot nicer. All right, now we got all the ugliness out of it. It's time to start cleaning her up and moving forward. What we have here is a K&N air filter. They are really good about airflow. They allow air to get in and keep the most dirt and grime out of the engine. She's a lot better than she was.
That's right, bro. Let's get the hose on there. Last thing we gotta get taken care of, the safety hazard of this wiring.
Yeah, I'd hate for something bad to happen there.
These wires, when they're bunched together, can cause a break in the circuit and them to short out. The short, it can create a spark, and right here by the fuel system, it's a terrible thing to happen. So I'm gonna trim this off, put us a butt connector in here, a heat shrink one, so we can keep this sealed off from the elements. Move the wiring and take the slack out in other places so it's a smoother transition from here to main harness. And then get it all nice and zip tied out of the way so it doesn't look like trash. Well, that's it, man. I think we got it all.
We ended up having to do a few extra things to it, but I think it was well worth it. No, it's not going to catch on fire.
It looks 10 times better, a lot safer. It's ready to go, man.
School bus yellow isn't going to cut it on the dump truck. It needs a big color change to give it that militaristic, overall mean look.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, man. I got the color for the old dump truck. A metallic gun barrel gray is really going to be the way to go on this. Not just that, but I think I want to go with the two-tone.
Two-tone?
Black bed, black running boards, and the very, very roof I want all black also.
Damn, it's going to look enojado.
What's that?
Real mean. Real mean.
That's it,
right,
buddy. Do it to it.
Got it.
I want something on this truck that's really going to stand the test of time. I don't want army green. I don't want the Desert Storm tan. The gunmetal gray is definitely going to make this thing look really cool, give it an aggressive look, and still be custom. John, the client, said he wanted this international dump truck to be unique. We're definitely heading in that direction. Now it's time for the custom flatbed.
Next project is getting this thing on the truck, which is not going to be an easy task because it's got such a long bed in the back, we can't pick it up from the rails.
You got to spend extra time to do every little step. You know, just picking the bed up is just one more example of how much work goes into something like this. We're about to see if it'll work.
Gunmetal gray, the black, it's just going to tie together perfectly.
Ready?
Yeah.
We'll bolt it down from there.
Go down.
This is a big ass bed. This thing's finally starting to look like something.
It definitely gave it the industrial look that he was looking for.
Right? Definitely no more school bus now. This thing looks mean. Man, it's a good day. We'll get the rest of this thing tomorrow, mount this bed, start building the running boards on this thing. Good night. This truck's so tall, we're going to need some extra steps going in. So we're going to make some running boards / steps, and I'd like to make it one solid piece. The problem with that is the cab's 7 foot long, and our equipment's running boards out of 2 pieces. It just takes extra time to get everything 100%, and this truck flexes a lot, so over time it wouldn't line up as if it would if it was one piece. I'm gonna go see my old buddy Ernest at Diamond Sheet Metal. He always helps us out. I've known Ernest since I was a kid. He's one of the Northside experts I can always count on.
What we got going on?
Man, I'm working on Old International. Thing's way off the ground. It's a huge truck.
Way off the ground, all right.
So I need some running boards / steps integrated in it.
Okay.
I need 2 pieces, 7 foot at a 14 gauge.
We can break it up to 12 foot. 10 foot, whatever you need.
Well, I only need 7. I know you got the big brakes, the big shears. So whenever I can't do it, I come see you.
We can have it.
Well, thank you, man.
All right.
Give me a call, man, when you got it.
I'll do it, man. Take care. When Bill shows up in my shop, I know it's something I got to hurry up and do, so I usually stop, produce whatever he wants. Back in the 70s, that's how long I've been knowing Bill. He used to lower bikes, stuff like that, and I knew he had a great future in it because if he can do it with a bicycle, he can do it with a car. We're making all these marks, they got to be right on the money. These are where the brakes are going to be. If you don't mark them off right, we got to start all over. We got to mark here with a circle, it's going to be bent up. No circle, it's going to be bent on the other side, bent down. If you don't bend these things right, all the money and material is wasted.
The undercarriage of this old school Buick is structurally different from most of the vehicles we work on. They just don't make them like this anymore.
You know, there's not a whole bunch to the rear of these cars. It's real thin sheet metal and a lot of wood, so we don't have a lot to work off of, and I don't want to just weld straight to the frame rail because they're like 10 gauge. It's real thin. So I'm making a foundation basically to be able to, build my rear suspension off of. What this is going to do is act as part of my frame. We'll get some back brackets on there, some shocks, diagonal link, and we'll have a brand new suspension on the rear of this car. That's it. Let's do some shocks. Let's get some shocks in here. With the way that I'm putting the shock and where it's going to be placed, I just want a bag that's never going to hit it. Even though we do a bunch of air suspension here, every application is different for the most part. The concept is the same, but actual building it and getting into it and making it functional and making it work and the geometry and staying the same, it's all different. That's what keeps this job, interesting and makes it fun to come to work every day because it's not that repetitive, same old, every single day. But it's done back here and now we get to move on to the front. Got the lower control arm bolted up and the spindle bolted up. As you can see where the frame comes and where my lower control arm is, there's no room for a bag, there's no room for anything. So just like everything else, we're gonna have to make it work. Decompress with no air in the bag is gonna be 3 inches, right? I'll take this 3-inch block, describe a line all the way across. Judging by the looks of this right here, my tie rod's gonna be somewhere in this area here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just cut what we need with the plasma, make a plate to fill it. For the most part, I got everything cut out. Right now, I'm gonna get some 4-inch flat block to make my fill piece here. fit. Everything is going to be built off of this plate right here for our upper bag bracket. So this is critical in making sure that this is fit up properly and welded in properly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to trim it back, get a nice fit up, get it tacked in, then we'll weld it off. And whenever you're welding, you want to get a nice weld, a nice fuse. You want to go from metal to metal. You don't ever want it to overlap completely and then just weld the outside. It's not going to get anything in there. It's not fusing anything. What I'm looking for on this is just trying to match the same radius here. Just I want that same roll all the way through so it looks like nothing was ever touched. It looks like it came like that. So just start on the flat spots first. I like to knock it down and make sure it's flat and then start rolling. So once I get it kind of close, I'll come back with the flat disc and then clean it up and get rid of most of these lines. Hit it with a DA or a wire wheel. I mean, that's pretty much it. I've been liking it. Looks real nice. We got work to do, man.
Ryan's putting together the last little bits of the front suspension on the old school Buick.
So this is exactly where it's going to be right here. Now everything's in place. I can just attach it to the top of the frame, get that tacked in there, throw a shock mount on here, and drop our motor in here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. Man, I get it. I totally know what you're talking about. You know what we can do? We can just pause on it, let you think about that. Once you think about it, let me know. We'll get back on it. All right.
Just the person I'm looking for.
Man, I just got off the phone with Javier, with the Buick. He's not real sure of what engine he wants to put in it, so he wants to put that thing on pause for a minute. The customer needs some time to make the right decisions on the right engine, so we're going to give that to him. I get it, man. He wants to think about exactly what he wants. We don't want to give him nothing that he's not 100% sure about. The extra time always takes a toll on the bottom line, but that's what we're doing to make it right. Trust me, this thing will be perfect when it's finished. Cut a piece 32 and 3. Don't chop it on top of the panel board. It was a working dump truck, so the interior left a lot to be desired. Just tape it to it. You definitely can't have that, so John's gonna make it right.
We're building a big, badass dump truck, so we got to get something that's going to be utilitarian and follow along in design and keep up with the beating around this truck's going to get. So we're going to make some really cool door panels. The idea that we have here is we're going to make a metal kick plate. That way it's good and rugged for climbing in and out. You kick it with your boots, whatever, it's good to go. This is kind of the fun part to me, the creative part. You get in here, you get to lay this out, really actually bring your idea into fruition. With this truck, it's big, it's boxy, it's a beast coming down the road. So you open the door, you want to kind of have that same idea. It just needs to say, I'm ready to work. Next thing I'm going to do, start cutting this apart, and we'll transfer it onto the base panels, and we'll get it foamed up. Here's my foam. Time to get busy. Like I hadn't been busy already. Alright, now I'm just going to trace this out. When you're cutting this foam down, if you put any kind of lean in it, and it will show up in the end, or it's tougher to have to sand out. So just kind of work keeping that blade straight up and down. We're actually going to put a beveled edge around this, and that way when it comes up, it'll dip down into the insert panel, up both sides. So just cool little detail. Get all that thing beveled back, and once that's done, we put another layer over it. I'm going to wrap the doors in marine vinyl while Jamie's cutting out the steel for the kick plates.
This is going to look really good on the door panels that John's doing. I went ahead and cut this out of 18 gauge steel, just sheared it. Now I'm going to cut it to the right size, go ahead and prep the material, and I'll bring it back to it. All right, looks good. I'm happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and bring John, go ahead and do a test fit real quick and go from there.
See how she fits. Cool, man. Perfect fit.
Cool, well, let me go knock out the mother 3.
Can't wait to get over to the body shop and let them get this thing painted, get this door panel together. It'll look pretty cool.
It's gonna look nice.
Panel harness did really, really good. I mean, all the angles look exactly perfect, exactly what I wanted. So next step is just get this up here and start shaping it. Hey, pretty soon we'll have a running board.
Put your hand out there.
So about 5 inches. And we made it a little bit too long so we could shrink it down, cut a little here, a little there, make this thing fit perfect. From the front fender well all the way to the bed.
Man, that's a big difference. That's nice. It's gonna make it real easy to get right on up in here.
Next step is just shaping it perfect to the fender itself.
Pretty cool little trick right there.
Used to have a sign company across the street. Showed me that. Of course, we just could have squared the ends off and put it on. You know, taking the time to shape it, to make it fit the truck.
It's like the front just right here needs to come in a little bit.
As if it would have came from the factory like that. That's what I want it to look like in the end. You know, no matter what we're working on, a little extra time, a little extra cut, a little extra weld makes a huge statement in the overall project. Can't wait to see this thing black up against that gray. It's really going to finish the whole thing off.
My name L1 actually means little one, and I got that name around the age of 14. Doing electrical, body shop, and paint, I always wanted to keep on learning, keep on going to the next thing. Start from the bottom, work your way to the top. You gotta know how to do every single part of the job. The first thing I learned how to do was actually sweep up a shop. If you don't know how to sweep up a shop, then you shouldn't be doing much of anything else. I'm not done learning yet. This is me with 10 years experience. I want to see myself with 20 years experience, 30 years experience. You always want to get something right and then keep on learning, but you got to learn the right way with the right people. If you're not open-minded to learn from others, then you're not going to get very far in this business. I like working at Extensive. The talent here is so diverse, and it's just crazy the amount of knowledge that you can gain. If something breaks, you make it. If you can't find it, you make it. If you can't do it, you make it and you do it. And that's why we keep building the best things that come out.
And like that, what was an ugly international dump truck has become something else entirely. Installing the seats, doors, running board, 10-inch tall tires. There won't be another custom truck quite like this on the road.
Hey, Bill, what's up?
Hello.
Hi, and good to see you as always.
Same.
What up, Johnny? You know, I've known John Wood for quite some time. I love this guy, but I love messing with him too.
You got some news for me?
Well, I wanted you to come out and check this thing out. I got a couple questions on it.
That usually means there's problems, so how much more money do I owe you?
Right? I called him in, told him we had a couple issues with this truck. You already know how rough that thing is.
It shouldn't have any rust. It was covered with tar.
You know, I can tell right now he's super worried. He thinks this is going to cost him a lot. You ready to go check it out?
Yeah, let's go see what we got going. It always bothers me when you say you have a problem and you want me to... Oh, that's not a problem. That's done. You lied to me. You're lying to my face. Holy, that's beautiful. And it's not yellow.
Of course, there was a couple problems, but now it definitely runs and
that
drives.
Thing is bad A.
It's ready to roll, John.
It's really, really neat.
What do you think about the bumper on this thing? Split it, added 8 inches, made this thing way bigger with the big winch on it.
Added a winch. He even added a winch. I didn't ask for it. We're going to get it stuck sooner or later, and we're going to need the thing. I knew it was big when I saw it at the office, but in here, this thing's huge.
It was already big, but it's way, way, way bigger now.
The color choice was good.
Right? Getting rid of the school bus yellow was most definitely an essential part of the build. Changing it to gunmetal gray and making it a two-tone, it was definitely the right way to go.
Well, that's very different.
Right? You had creative fixes all throughout. This thing was a fire hazard for sure. My one-way diesel guys came in, they just fixed everything and addressed all the issues.
I
I knew it was bad. I had no idea it was actually a fire hazard. I'm glad they fixed it all up because, you know, I have employees that are going to drive it, and it has to be safe. Wow.
What do you think about this thing?
I love it. This is great.
Right? This is way better before. Those old steps on this thing, you can see all the frame. Couldn't have that. New running boards on this thing and integrated the steps in it.
Vertically challenged, dude. I have to wait to get up there. You refinished it all. New seats, carpet, door panels. Wow. Wow. I bet it doesn't even stink in
new smell in there. Just had to rip all that out. Had the seats redone, got new carpet in it, and there was no door panels in this thing.
Right.
So John and Daniel hooked you up with that. You know, we could have just wrapped this thing, changed the color. But,
this is way better than a wrap.
You know, this is going to represent your company and mine, so we got to do this thing right, man.
Absolutely. Now on to the good stuff.
Right? What do you think about that?
It looks correct.
No more dump truck, right?
No more dump truck for sure.
Cut the back of the frame off, scooted the axle forward. All the suspension was all handmade underneath this thing. It's got a huge 4-link on this with big triple billow bags, so you can haul whatever you put on the back of this thing can haul it.
Wow.
And ride. Super smooth. And the bed was built specifically for this truck. You see the big wheel well opening.
Yeah.
So what do you think, man? Is this going to work for you?
Absolutely. I'm afraid to scratch it now. The bed scale matches the truck scale with the giant wheels and tires. It's a functional truck, and we're going to work this truck. You can tell the people that do this, they're craftspeople.
That's right. We all have passion for what we do, for sure. You know, this is just one more example just to show how Good Guy in the Shop just kicked ass time and time and time again. I know this thing is going to do everything you could ever want with it and even way, way more.
Thank you. This
Heisman Trophy.
I'll know I did a good job when it looks like you can just dive into this paper.
This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque, so this thing's going to be a tire shredder for sure.
The old school 1934 Buick,
And, yeah,
a lot more power and a lot more reliability.
So we got us a little situation here.
The new old school.
What?
This is very quickly becoming one of my favorite cars.
Whoa, we.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Well, that hasn't been separated in a long time, huh?
It looks good. Everything's clean. All sheet metal looks pretty nice. You ready to roll it out?
Yep, let's go.
We're known for custom trucks, but, you know, whatever rolls through the door, we're going to get our hands on it and give the little extensive touch to it. And when we're building a 49 Cadillac for NFL Hall of Famer Earl Campbell, I mean, this guy's a living legend. So everybody in the shop's got to be on point and make sure this thing's going to be perfect. You know, this car is special. And I'll say that about all of them, but this one's is definitely special.
I think it's your turn, buddy. The finisher.
I appreciate it, man.
It's been months of metal work and body work just to get to this point. You know, when people see all the custom touches that are all throughout this car, they're going to know it's Earl Campbell's. You know, it's always a little bonus in the day when you get something major done, like just pulling the frame out, getting it cleaned up, getting it loaded off the powder coat. It's just a huge accomplishment. You know, considering how Earl's car came into what it is now, finally feels like we're getting something done. Thank you. Well, this thing is going to be a cool car. Earl, where's the first place you're going to take this car?
In Austin, Texas, there's a little hamburger joint. Been there since the 40s. I hang out there. That's where the cars meet on Thursday night. So that's going to be my first appearance in this 49.
All right, man. You make me hungry.
I know. What's for lunch? Burgers?
Earl, man, I'd really like to take you in the shop and show this thing to you at the stage it's at, but you've seen it in pieces enough. If you can bear with me, just wait just a little longer, I promise you, it's going to be extra special for you to see this thing totally finished.
I can't wait, Bill.
For the most part, Earl's just been leaving the design for the Caddy to us. But you know, Earl called me a couple days ago, said he had some ideas for the color accents for the interior.
I'm going to tell you, man, I can't wait to see it. But when I was coming through town, I bought you some UT that I like that interior to look like. This is the real UT orange, what I used to wear when I was in college. And now I don't need a number 20 on the leather, but everything else I would love for the inside to look like that.
So you don't want just us to get material to match this color. You actually want to use the UT jersey.
UT jersey, that orange.
In the car.
In the car. I got to have that orange in it.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just some touches all throughout. When you're building a car for Earl Campbell, you really want those touches to stand out. And putting these jerseys in the interior, this is definitely the way to go. Everybody's going to know whose car it is.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a junior high football player getting promoted to the varsity on that level.
You know, we built a lot of cool cars and trucks around, but this is by far probably definitely my favorite one.
A 49 Caddy.
Yes, sir.
An orange interior. That's going to be great.
Man, we're going to make it happen.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shock me. Knock me out of my socks, but I'm ready.
All right.
How's she looking? It's looking real good. Considering, you know, where it's at now and where it started with, night and day. Repairing the rust on this thing, rebuilding the floor, you know, the drive shaft tunnel, transmission tunnel, building this car to the new chassis, to the new suspension, to the new engine, the LSX under the hood, man, this is going to be cool.
Just the hours that are in this area, much less the rest of the car.
You know, there's definitely a lot of custom modifications to this thing, you know, especially the firewall, to really get this thing looking like a car. When Earl pops a hood on this thing,
man, he's going to be so impressed.
For the new LSX, we're making custom intakes and exhaust, and it's wheels, tires, and brakes. As soon as we get this thing painted, we're going to get it over to interior for custom door panels, seats, console, and headliner. The stereo that's going in this thing, all the little custom accents. You know what you give a guy that has everything? 49 custom Cadillacs, that's what you give them. You know, the only thing left to do is just paint it and then everything else. Let's start with just the paint.
Let's get in the booth.
Let's get it pushed in there. All right, man. You got this?
Got this.
You know, one of the things Earl wanted from the very beginning is black paint. And Chris is getting that thing going now.
We're going to make sure that we get enough paint on this car that any imperfections or whatever, we want them to be covered. We'll put as many coats as it takes to get this car as black as possible. I met Bill back when we were, in our teens. We were in a truck club here in Houston, and he started doing air suspension. He did some work on one of my trucks a long time ago. I think when I was 18. I did it for 15 years straight. It's fun to do. I enjoy it. I grew up watching Earl Campbell play football, and, you know, people are going to see this car, and whoever knows it and who don't know it, at least I'll know I painted it. I'll know I did a good job when I can tell that it looks like you can just dive into this paint job because the color is going to look so deep. Cadillac out of the booth, and now that it's painted and cleared, the next process is wet sanding and buffing. It has an orange peel texture, kind of leathery looking. That's why they call it orange peel. It looks like the peel of an orange. What we want to do is sand this down with our blocks of different sandpapers, get it slick as possible, and then we're going to come back and buff it to give it that nice mirror finish. To guys did such a good job on this firewall doing the bead rolling on it that I can't use this block on because it will burn the paint. When I say burn it, I mean sand through the paint. We have real problems if I do that. We'll block the flat areas with this block and sandpaper, and then we'll have to come back by hand and get around all the bead rolls with finer grit sandpaper. And I know where I can and can't go because, like I said, we do not want to burn this paint at this stage in the game. Okay, this is our last step in our wet sanding process. We've got 3,000 grit sandpaper on our DA sander. We'll run over this real quick and then we'll be ready to buff. And when we start buffing, that's what's going to bring out that mirror shine that we're looking for. You have to spend the time on it to make it as slick and smooth as possible, or when this thing's buffed, you'll be able to see every flaw that's in it. All right, we just completed the wet sanding, buffing, and polishing part of our firewall here, which is the final step in a paint job. The only thing we got left now is to do the whole rest of the car.
Most of the guys working here have spent their whole lives in Houston. John, you know, is a lifer too. He just couldn't wait to get going on the interior. Because for guys like us, you know, Earl's just a local legend.
I'm getting ready to start the door panels and the interior on Earl's Caddy here. So what I've done is I've just laid out some templates on the doors and the panels all the way in. I got me a pencil, good eraser. I'll just sit here and figure out what we're going to make here and try to get everything incorporated in all at one time and get everything drawn out so we'll see the whole piece. We got the basic sketch down of where we're headed to, so now it's just a matter of how do we get UT in here. We don't want to make it overpowering. It needs to stay kind of subtle and just an accent in the car. So what we might do is put some sort of insert spot behind that. That might work. After looking at the placement of where I've got this armrest in relation to the seat, it's going to have to move up. So I'm really happy with the shape that I have of the armrest. So I'm going to transfer that onto another piece. This is how these things work. You just sit here and stare at them and think about it a little while and it'll come to you. It'll all make sense. And so I like to just sit here early in the morning, quietly, enjoy my coffee, and sketch. So all I gotta do is just lift it up and stick it to another piece of board. So you just stick that down. I'll take an Alpha knife, cut that out, and that'll give me my template to work with so I can put this wherever I want it at on here. So what I'm thinking here is armrest just needs to move up to about right there. That looks good. I like where we're headed with this.
Even though there was assembly lines back when Earl's 1949 Cadillac was made, you know, a lot of stuff was made by hand. There wasn't any robots. And we're taking the same approach from the metalwork to the interior.
You know, Earl showed up the other day, brought in some jerseys, wanted us to work these into the car somehow. So my thought here is to take and use those to create that Cadillac V and drop that in right here underneath these pillows. That'll look really cool. Just a nice pop of that burnt orange in the car without being too overwhelming. That'll turn out looking really cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the rest of the seams on the seat. I'm going to start laying out the bolsters first. I got a template that I've already drawn out for that. Make sure I have everything lined up. I want the lines exactly where I want them. In the center, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a 2-inch tuck and roll. It's just something that was used classically back in the hot rod days. It's basically they take and they roll the leather over and you tuck it in with some foam and it actually makes these pillow tops. Just kind of keep it the old school feeling of the 49 Cadillac, and then we'll have that modern touch of this nice, hard, solid, shaped out pillow on the top here that still has that lean to the classic styles. All right. You know, everything in here has got a nice flow. We've still got that classic feel to it with the tuck and roll. I think this little pop of orange up here in the top for these V's is going to be, get them into the trim shop, and we'll get them covered.
Put the old school 1934 Buick Model 57 on hold because the owner wanted to figure out what kind of power plant he wanted to use. He ended up with the late model 5.3, and now we're back at it. Got it, huh?
Got it.
This is perfect for for this old Buick.
It always sucks to see a project get pulled off the lift, but I'm glad he made up his mind exactly what he wanted. Now we can move forward with the rest of the car.
I wasn't really feeling taking this thing apart. It was so pristine, so original. It was hard to cut into it, but we pulled out the stock straight 8 motor, ripping out the old suspension, and start building fresh. Get the steering all mocked up. I mean, this thing's going to be a new car all underneath once we're done. Especially with the new 5.3.
He just had to have a new motor and transmission in it.
Exactly, man. Power, reliability. He'll never have to worry about this for sure.
I can't wait to see this thing come together. It's going to be a really, really nice old school.
The new old school.
The new old school.
Freezing cold out here today, and we're about to go drop the LS into the Buick.
The old school straight 8 is a lot wider than the straight 8. So once little one gets this thing in, we have to mock up a new steering configuration.
All right, just make sure that it doesn't hit the headlight or the paint.
Okay. Go ahead.
In?
Yeah.
This thing is pretty dirty, but when we're done with it, it's gonna look spotless.
Come in. Slowly, slowly. Watch the front bumper.
Yeah. All right, we clear?
Yeah.
Now, we get that angle under it, then we need one more in the front, and then we can go ahead and start moving it around. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now that we have the header mocked up and the engine fully on its own in the car, the steering has to be moved now too.
The owner still wants to keep as much of that original interior as possible. So we're trying to keep the old steering column.
The key to work on these beautiful cars is you gotta do yoga at least once a week. Since I can't cut right outside on the firewall, we're gonna take the ignition off, release the column, and pull it out without damaging this nice, beautiful interior. Beep, beep. That was easy, wasn't it? Got it out.
Cool, man. Keeping the old column just fit the whole original interior in this is definitely the way to go about it. There's a problem with that, though. We don't have any way to adapt the original column to the rack and pinion that we're going to put underneath there. So we have an end of an old column. I want to graft this on to the original one.
All right.
That way we can adapt all this right to the rack and pinion, and everything will work right.
Right.
You know where to cut.
Got it.
Quick, easy, right? No, this just goes to show you there's something that wasn't even thought of when we set out to do this little project. But, that's just what we do. We deal with them, keep on rolling. Got that.
It's kind of like a Russian doll. Everything just goes in piece after piece after piece, and they're all going to fit in perfect. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and make this custom 1934 2020 steering column. So this is not our finished product until it gets painted and fully installed, but now we're ready to mock up our rack and pinion. I gotta wash my hands because I do not want to get this interior. A while ago we were sticking all the way here, almost touching the header. Now we're right at the firewall, exactly where we measured, exactly where we wanted it to be. From here we can pivot around it and we can go straight into our rack and pinion that's gonna end up being up there in the front.
So we got us a little situation here. Our rack is way up there in front, like almost a foot in front of the engine. And with our column coming out like right behind the cylinder head, we need to detour our steering shaft around the exhaust header and then go back straight to the rack. So we had to make us like a two-piece steering shaft with the center U-joint mounted on a heim joint. We got to get this thing as close as possible to the header without touching. That way it doesn't put this U-joint in so much of an angle, which is going to cause hard spots in your steering. We have 3 U-joints. There's nothing to hold it in the middle. we got to support it with this Heim joint. And what this is going to do is hold this shaft in the center from moving around and hitting the headers into the chassis. That way it'll support this from moving around. We got everything in place. Now we're ready to give this a rotation. Check it out. Man, this steers pretty good. I don't feel any hard spots. I think we got this set up pretty good. Now we definitely know this car is going to steer in the right direction.
Definitely not going to make a lot of new friends with the Buick crowd cutting into this original 34 Buick. But we're still doing what we can to give this thing the respect it deserves. I have Edgar color matching the engine to the cab, and Matt's adding a super clean serpentine setup.
So now we got our motor in here. We're going to go ahead and start getting the front drive assembly on, the water pump, alternator, and everything that gets the motor running. So with this bracket here, it holds the water pump, the alternator, power steering pump. It allows everything to be more compact and gives us a lot more clearance, especially when a car like this, we barely have any clearance in the engine bay, so it tightens everything up and gives it a nice look. Now that we got our bracket on, we'll go ahead and mount our power steering pump up. We're still real tight on clearance, but it fits, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. Got it.
Yes, man.
Definitely a big improvement from what was in it.
A lot more power and a lot more reliability.
And it kind of looks like it belongs.
Yeah, it just looks right at home in this thing. Man, Matt, it's all downhill now, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know, there's so much room on the backseat of this 49 Cadillac that John has plenty of space to come up with a couple of one-off speaker enclosures.
So what I'm going to do to take up this space here is I'm going to use it as a subwoofer enclosure. I'm going to take my subwoofer, flip it upside down, and downfire it into the pocket over here. Get a little back pressure loaded on the front of the subwoofer. It'll improve the sound a little bit. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll start with the baffle of the box, and I can take that and I start building the walls of the box up and around and get the shape to it that I'm looking for. Figure out how we're going to go about tying this whole big piece together. Let's start with the back wall that needs to be curved. Basically just cutting it every 1/4 inch, almost all the way through, and that'll allow it to bend and shape to the fender well just fine. So once I get my angle cut on it, we can go put it in the car and get it stuck. This enclosure is a little different than most of the enclosures that we build around here. It will actually become the interior trim panel of the car. We'll make a top piece that comes out, but it won't come out all the way. It'll stop shy over here with some shape in it, and we'll bring it all back into here to go down. And this will turn into your armrest area up here. So when you're sitting in the back seat, you're in an armrest here, and this will all sculpt down towards the seat. In order for this material to make the shape that I want, I've made these ribs, and we'll put them around in a couple of places, and that'll give us something to attach our material to and start fiberglassing. Just going to take a piece of this flex form carpet here, push this down in here. It'll take the shape that we want. We'll get it stapled down. That should be perfect. Now that we got that worked out, next thing we'll do is take some fiberglass resin, start piling it on here, and wait for it to get dry enough to touch so we don't get it all over the car. And once it's to that point, we're going to put it back in the car, continue building our panels around it, get everything tied in. When you're building your custom panels like this, you want to make sure that you keep everything in consideration, keep things nice and tight so you have one nice cohesive flow through your entire panel.
Edgar painted the new LSX for Earl's 49 Cadillac. And of course, it's Texas Longhorn Orange. And we got our custom chassis back from Powder Coat. We're putting it all together with brand new air lines, brand new brake lines, all new stainless bolts, and of course, brand new Billy wheels.
Starting to look like a car now. Yeah, looks good with 4 wheels on it.
Man, now you can actually
actually see how the contrast is coming together. The little pop of the motor color is going to tie into a little bit of interior color. It's going to make the whole car a complete package. And this car is fit for Earl Campbell.
Definitely. I hope he'll let me borrow it one day.
When you're getting the body ready to put on the frame, it makes for a really, really good day. Seeing the big pieces, man, it gets me excited. This is very quickly becoming a caddy. It's about to be born today. I sure be liking that chassis. You should probably set it down on there, huh?
Yeah.
Looking good.
It looks real good.
You know, these are the colors he was wearing when he won the Heisman Trophy. He's got to love this, right?
Right. Man, especially being his first custom car.
I'd be happy with this, my 100th custom car.
Man, that's cool. It's custom made like a V.
Yeah, dude. It sure is. Just for this car.
With all the work we've done to Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac, there's still something missing. So I asked Justin to build a couple of custom downpipes.
Right here on Earl's Cadillac, we got the LSX 454 crate motor stabbed in there. This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPM. So this thing's gonna be a tire shredder for sure. So we're gonna go ahead and get our throttle bodies mounted up so we can start doing our charge pipes. We got these billet throttle bodies. They're twin 102 millimeter throttle bodies. So it's gonna supply a lot of air to this big cubic inch motor. We have our aluminum mandrel bends. They're 3 now. We can kind of see that there's a lot of room in the engine bay, so we get creative on this intake system. Well, since he went to UT and old Vivo over there, we're gonna go ahead and do it where it looks like almost 2 horns in the center. Cut 5 inches off of each horn. I marked 5 inches from the end of our tube so that both of our tubes match up, and I'm gonna use the tape pretty much to connect the dots so that we have a good clean cut line to follow. Let's go cut some pipe. Basically, since this is a big 454 cubic inch engine, we need to make sure that we can supply it with enough air to make that power. So that's the reason we chose the 3.5 inch dual throttle body setup. And we're gonna try to put the filter placement where we're pulling good, clean, fresh air right in the front of the vehicle. So I like the way that the intake has that X pattern, so we're gonna try to emulate that with our intake tubes. It's looking like we can take this 180-degree bend, split it in half, use that 90-degree angle, and it should put our pitch right exactly where we're wanting. So now that we have all of our tubes cut, you can kind of see the direction we were talking about in the beginning where we wanted our placement of our air filters. And now that we have it with the tape kind of securing the 2 tubes in place, we can get it pulled off and go weld it up. So on this tube here, I'm going to end up welding it clockwise, coming around this way. And on this tube here, I'm going to come counterclockwise. It's going to give it one of those little small details that most people wouldn't notice, but, you know, to the ones that do it, they'll appreciate it. So we're going to go test fit them on a caddy, see how they look. If everything looks good, we can go ahead and pull them off and polish them. So now that we got everything wrapped up, everything's installed, see everything fits like we wanted, I think Earl will be real happy with this when he sees it.
After a lot of hard work and some tough decisions, this 1934 Buick's finally done. You know, I was really reluctant about cutting out all the old factory suspension, but once we got into it, that's what we do.
Bill called me and said the car was ready to come and look at it, so, I invited the guys, Silveranos Car Clubs of Houston. All my friends are here, their cars are here. We're all excited to look at the Buick.
What's going on, man?
See you, man.
Javier, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up?
You got the whole crew out, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You know, after looking at your whole crew's cars, I can definitely see why you wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to keep up with them, so.
Yeah. Your Buick now, it'd definitely fit in with the crowd for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Hey, good deal, man. Man, she looks pretty. Damn, Lord. Oh, my God. Good deal, man. Awesome. All right, man. Good job, man. Good, man.
Man, what you think about that thing?
Man, it looks good. Beautiful. I love the way it looks, the stance, the wheels.
You know, first things first, we got this thing on the lift and just started fresh with a new rear end, built independent front suspension for it with all air all the way around. That thing's going to ride good, handle good, and be reliable for sure.
Now you know why I asked you to do what I wanted to do, right?
You know, Javier, I got to admit, once this thing's down on the ground like that, man, it changes the whole look.
Yeah.
Definitely made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing you wanted was the reliability and some power under the hood, right?
Right.
Let's check out under the hood.
How'd you fit that thing in there?
Started out ripping that old engine and trans out and just getting a pulled out 5.3, stripping it all down, really dressed it up, make it look good. So when you pop the hood, you got something to be proud of.
Man, wonderful.
It was tough, but definitely worth it. We had to do a vintage air frame that's such a narrow frame in it. We had to custom make all the steering to get around the headers, and everything had to be one off, especially because of the fitment.
The old engine looked like an antique. This is state of the art. This car went from being real cool to real gangster.
You probably got 10 times the power that this thing came with. We'll see if you can keep some tread on these old cokers here.
All right, can't wait.
Taking a late model engine, sticking in such an antique car, you think it'd probably stick out. But all the work we put into this engine, making it look the way it does, it's like it was made for this car. What do you guys think, man? You gonna let this guy cruise around with you?
Yeah. I'm so happy now that I can just get in this car, start it up, and show it off. Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
You know, sometimes in this business, you really got to lean on your guys. You know, on the caddy, we really had to lean on John. You know, he's really coming through. Every little detail he's adding is 100.
We get started on the rear deck for the 49 caddy. We're going to start by cutting out our base out of MDF. We'll take that over to the car, get that in place, and start building it up from there. The back deck has a curve in it, so we'll make two pieces. I'm going to take some fiberall here and mix it up and use that to actually put these two pieces, especially with it being up here in the rear deck of the car. You know, it takes a lot of heat up here. We want something that's really going to be able to stand up and not give us any issues. This will be the riser that'll come up from the rear deck that helps tie it into the back of the seats. All right, we got this thing all dried up, positioned, ready to go. So I'm gonna pop this thing out, take it across the way, put it on the table, and we'll finish it out there.
You know, Earl Camel's 49 Cadillac is just one of those builds where we're just making as many parts as we can by hand. Ryan's finishing up the custom exhaust on one side. Now he's mirror imaging it to the other.
The first side is always the easiest. Mirroring it is the hardest part about it. It's just a lot of marking, fine-tuning, a bunch of small cuts until you get that final exact perfect fit that we're looking for. And you know, it's easier to cut a little bit at a time than cut a whole bunch and then have to either add or go find another piece and start all over again. Well, the reason I'm putting the V-band here is because the muffler and all that, all the way to the header is all one piece right now and one full piece. Houston, 40 degrees in the morning, 80 degrees at lunch. At this point, the exhaust is the most complex of it all because of this bin that I got right here and then just what I had to work with and just the limited amount of space. So trying to make this work and flow and not cause any restriction and also clear everything is pretty tricky, but hopefully I can get exactly what I'm looking for out of this and make it go all the way, jump out the back instead of stopping right here. Alright, so I didn't let it beat me. We were able to make it come all the way out to the back. That's gonna look tight from the back. Whenever you're driving behind it, see that? That's gonna look dope. So now all we got left to do is just make some hangers, drill some O2 bungs, weld it all up, and throw it back in the car. I think if Earl ever gets to take a look underneath this car, he should be very happy. I know I am.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill?
On this build, there was a lot of parts had to get chromed, but that grill, you know, that grill's something special. We had to make sure this thing shined. You got something for me?
Oh, yeah, I got something for you, buddy. I got your grill.
Man, everything looks good, Victor.
It's a 1940.
Dip this thing in chrome, but
Yeah, I mean, well, you do it in 30 minutes. Nah.
you gotta take the whole thing apart, huh?
The whole thing apart. Okay, these 5 pieces right here, they're made of stainless steel. So you got to be careful with them, you know, when you polish them and chrome plate them.
Yeah, and it's not just this either. Of course, you got such a good reflection. You look down here, you see everything up here. So everything back here has to look just as good.
Like that.
Because this thing's pretty much a mirror now.
Yeah.
Victor, you sure this is the same one?
The same one, buddy.
This thing looks brand new. I think it's better new.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Man, I appreciate it, Victor.
It's all yours, buddy. Let's be careful now.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, a ton of interior work's been done to this 49 Cadillac, but there's still a ton more to go. You know, John's got his work cut out for him, building custom speaker pods, cup holders, and pockets. Man, these door panels are gonna be cool.
So now I got the speaker pod and cup holder pocket all ground out in shape. The next component that I need to finish for the door panel is the armrest. So I'll just take my template here, just gonna trace it out. I'll come in and rough cut it, and we'll route it. All right, got them all cut out. Next step to do, sand them down, glue them up, and then stack them. You just kind of come up with ideas in your head and then think of ways to execute your ideas. You know, the stacking method here is basically just to get a big chunk to carve out of, as you would any other sculpture, really. So the next thing you're gonna do is gotta put the hand pull in this thing. I've got a template here, so I'll have it for both sides. Trace it out. All of this in here is gonna get carved out, so we have some place to put fingers, grab a hold of it, and close it. You know, Earl came in the other day. He had a challenge. He really wants to get this UT burnt orange color in the car. We're going to take this, cut it up, and wrap a few pieces. That will work. This is where all that body working and sanding really starts to pay off. You can actually start to see what you've made, see the final product. Everything starts to come together. You can see all your lines, your details. And if you don't put all that time and effort into it, when you get to this point, it'll start to show too. All right, well, that's a wrap. Only thing left to do now is get it on the car and get the speakers in it and get everything buttoned up, and this thing will be ready to roll.
I love working on Cadillacs because that's just the car of the industry.
It's one of those cool cars that was always fun because they were the luxury of the time.
Cadillac rolls in here.
We're all fighting to work on it.
I hope I get to work on it.
John knows with that Cadillac, he can put 15 speakers in the trunk. You know you can make it as low as you want and make it go as fast as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be the porter and drive around the parking lot. I mean, that's what I want to do. Of course, we did the 59 for Slim. We cut the roof off and made it a Roadster.
Night and day difference in that
just
car.
doing the windshield wrap around on that car.
Yeah, stretching the back out, moving the seats that far back to make room for
That's
him.
one thing Cadillacs always had, is plenty of room.
Nothing said America like Cadillac.
As American as,
you know, apple pie. They'll keep making them. We'll keep customizing them. People keep eating them.
You know, I can remember being young and my dad watching Earl Campbell just killing people every week. He just rooted for him, you know, every time he played. You know, when people hear now that we're building a car for Earl Campbell, you hear all the stories of how good a player he was and just how he dominated everybody on the field. You know, every step of the way on this 49 Cadillac, you know, Earl's been an inspiration to us. You know, the consistency, you know, that's what we were going for in building this Cadillac. You know, so today it's an honor to give Earl his car back. The 49 Cadillac is something I'm very proud of, and every guy in the shop is proud of. I'm kind of jealous, man. This is a cool car.
Hey, Tim, you can't tell me anything about this car, man.
Man, I don't want to tell you anything. I want to keep it a surprise for you till Bill gets here. One thing I will tell you is it's all in one piece now. All them buckets it showed up in and records that it showed up on,
It's in a whole lot better shape than what it was.
Earl came all the way from Austin to Houston just to see this car we built for him. You know, the last time you seen it, it was in thousands of pieces. I can't wait to show it to him now.
How you doing, Bill?
Man, what's going on?
I'm here to see that bad 49 caddy. Oh, yeah, man.
Man, you saved me just in time. You've been picking my brains wanting to see this thing.
What do you think, Earl? I know you've been waiting a while. You ready to see this thing?
I'm ready. I can't wait, Bill.
Man, Timmy, let's do it.
Here she comes.
It was fun building this. This is something we're all super proud of for sure.
Come on, man. Hurry up. Let's get this car uncovered. Look at that. Whoa, man, that is great.
What you think, Earl?
Golly, Bill, when this car first got here, that paint job, that black. Man, that bumper, that's a hell of a lot of chrome.
There's plenty of black and plenty of chrome on this thing.
Oh, man, that's great.
Man, Earl, you know, it's a huge challenge to make, you know, parts in the parking lot into a car looking like this. You know, we first started off getting this thing on the lift, doing rust repair. You know, getting a car this old, this straight, and the gaps right on this, the body guys, that's showing their skills right there. A 49 Cadillac don't come like that. You make it like that.
Yeah, especially when the panels come in the back of a truck all thrown together, just thrown in that truck.
Come on, man, you guys don't let me forget that, huh?
You know, especially black. You know, looking down the side of this thing is laser straight.
Man, that is beautiful.
You know, building a chassis on this thing, Earl, motor mounts, new rear end, new front suspension, air suspension, so this thing lays real low to the ground too. Every nut, bolt, everything is 100% brand new. You have a brand new 49 Cadillac.
Just to see it all put together, I was amazed. I mean, the chrome on it, the lovely lady on the front. I mean, I just can go on. I just couldn't believe it.
Earl, you had a couple stipulations. You wanted this car to be some power under the hood.
That's right.
We got something for you under there.
Let's see. Good nurse.
Earl, you said you wanted some power under the hood in this thing. The 454 LSX is the one for it.
And burnt orange.
Yep.
That's great, man.
Building all new firewall in this thing, all new sheet metal molded onto the fenders, new core support. John came in and just bead roll you nice, cool panels in there. You know, it's got the little Cadillac V recessed down in it.
On the wall, man. It's unbelievable.
You know, Earl, when Justin was making the air intakes of this, he took a design cue from, you know, UT mascot Bevo, kind of replicated the Longhorn on the
Yeah, sure, you kind of see that's an intakes.
Right? One of your honors in life was the Hall of Fame, so we wanted to make you a medallion here to hold the two pipes together. John machined us a deal. This is 1991 Hall of Fame with a little football on it.
You know, there's no mistaking whose car this is.
That's right.
Let's check out the interior of this thing.
Wow.
Man, last time you seen this thing, there was just piles and piles and piles of parts for the interior on this thing, right?
Yes, man. It's got the burnt orange on the door.
Man, we know you had to have that UT orange. We sewn them into the interior itself. All this is handmade by old John Burgess himself.
Yes, he did a great job.
You know, it's got you a little something special back there in the rear deck as well.
Yes.
You get the little Longhorns incorporated in the back, all the way up into the Dakota Digital gauges.
Now, there's some special numbers in your life of what you've been through. So, 20, you were a Heisman at UT.
That's right.
34, you were a Houston Oiler, and then 91, you went to Hall of Fame.
That's right. There's no doubt everything in this car says Earl Campbell. I mean, they went out of their way and beyond. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. Oh, man. Yeah, grief. That's down in the dirt.
That just changes the whole attitude, right?
Yes, sir. When you see that 49 Caddy sitting up, that's one thing. But when you see it go down all the way in the grass, that's bad. You got a 49 after that.
I try to make this thing as comfortable and as cool for you as possible. It's got 24x9s in the front and 22x12s in the rear.
I never seen a rim like that before. That's one of a kind. I love it. What a beautiful car.
I like your car, man.
I'm happy it's mine. I'm happy as mine. Thank y'all very much for what y'all done. You and your team should be very proud.
The whole process from start to finish, it took some time. It was a labor of love for every guy. I can't thank my guys enough. And this is just one more example of us just
Cut $10,000 off this truck. Oh, you didn't just bring more wiring over here.
size-wise. This 2019 Polaris is a small vehicle for us, but it's got some big issues. Heck, having this thing, man, this thing was in a tornado. Anything we can do to help you, man, and help your granddaughter, we're in.
If this ain't hooked up correctly, nothing's gonna work.
Oh, no way!
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
What better way to have a little family bonding than having your kids help you cut up a car? And before I send this thing off to get scrapped, I figured I'd give my kids a little lesson on how to use some tools to cut some metal.
I never really use tools like this. It's not that bad, except for it's just pumping my arms out, but that's alright. It's a good workout, and I really like working out, so I guess it's fun.
Couple little more pieces, the whole roof's gonna be off. Go out on your side. Got it? Yep. What do you think?
Heck.
Fresh convertible? Yes.
It's a good family day. We cut up the car, and so now we're just gonna have some fun.
Test it out.
Yeah.
Hey, where's Cleve at? Cleve! Come on! Come on! I can't really tell you personally how many donuts I've done in this parking lot. Maybe 1 million or so. But this is Cleve's first, and he seemed really happy to be here. Seeing this thing in a stage like this, it finally feels like this thing's coming together. After being so long just a cab on the lift, feels like we're getting some things done. It's been a lot of hard work. You got that right. Just getting this thing apart's a lot of hard work. Yeah. We're months into making this 2020 Denali 3500, one of the first ever body drop in the world. The owner wants to haul some of his other show cars with it to SEMA. So we had to put more engineering into this thing to make it perform even better than he wants. With a body back on the frame, it looks like we're almost done, but I can tell you, we're a long ways away.
Oh, Lord, are you guys trying to pull a house or something? That's serious.
Damn right it is. This transfers all the weight from a trailer. Sometimes it could be 20, 30,000 pounds of stopping and starting. Goes to this right here.
So we can put a house on there.
Absolutely. Just from the start of this, get it on the lift and tearing it apart was a major job. Laying the chassis out, building the chassis on the table, getting the frame underneath this, rear suspension. Just to get to this stage is huge amount of labor.
I know.
This is not just double work or triple work. Not even quadruple. What's after quadruple?
A lot.
The finishing work on a build like this is always the hardest part. It's a huge build, but the small details, they take a lot of time. Now that we got the foundation, we can build the front suspension and huge wheel tubs to tuck those big old 28-inch wheels. Color match the frame and plastics, create a fully articulating speaker system in the bed, and finding space to put everything back together under the body. And that's rewiring, reconnecting, rebuilding, making this truck 100% brand new again, just like it is. We got a lot of work done,
but there's still a whole lot of work to do and a whole lot of parts to order. So let's get to it.
Let's get it.
At this stage of the build, it's all about making room underneath the body to cram everything back in. So Tim and John are getting started to making room for these big old wheels.
The name of the game is bigger the wheels, the lower to the ground. And you know as well as I know.
Most important thing,
the brake
system.
We're not going to cut the factory fender tabs off. We're going to use those to line everything back up. That way it'll look factory from the outside, and it'll keep all the factory gaps exactly the same. We're going to build back a support with some DOM. We need something that's going to keep all these tabs 100% where they're at and keep this where it's at, because then the fender will bolt right back up here, and all this will gap back perfect, the hood will shut perfect, everything will stay right.
You know, I've seen a lot of custom builds where they made something look good, but later on down the road, it just didn't hold up. Yeah, so we got to fit it down, huh? We got to have form and function, stability. What good is a cool car if you can't drive it down the road safely? Pretty damn good.
That's gonna work. That clears the hinge, clears the hood, supports that.
Clears the gas shock too, so we don't have to mess with that.
I think everything's gonna be perfect.
I'm holding the fender tabs right to the support to keep everything in line. Now we got our new support in there. We can remove all of this to get our new big wheel in there. There you go. Starting to see this thing getting put together and starting to look like a whole truck again.
You see the door gap, it all lines back up perfect. We don't even have to sit there and try to make the fender mounts.
Yep, and it's looking real good.
While Tim and John are making good progress on the 2020 Denali's front end, I'm going to get started making articulating speaker brackets for the bed. You know, just having a drop dually, big wheels all the way on the ground just isn't enough. You just got to have that little bit more. So we're going to make a speaker bracket that mounts 4 speakers in the bed and articulates up. So when he's parked, he can actually raise it up and the sound projects over the bed and out to everywhere. I took a couple of quick measurements off the bed with the bed cover, with the wheel wells, and made a quick drawing on the table so I know exactly what kind of room we have to work with, and we'll come up with some kind of mount that's going to be cool. Just a lot of figuring out to do. You know, there's a lot of pivot points, a lot of measuring. We'll see what happens. We need to make one a little shorter to maybe kick it up a little bit or kick it down a little bit. You can play with all those little angles, all those little pivot points to make the speaker do whatever you want to with it. So once we make them act right, we can duplicate that in bars and pipe and bushings.
Man, that's something to start out, but having some articulation like this where it actually moves and it's got function to it, man, that's that next step.
I'm using the measurements from the rods and bolts to make the final articulating arms for the speakers.
We'll have something like that.
I want these things quick, so Max and Jesse are going to weld these things out, all while me and Jamie are going to make the frame to hold all these mounts to the bed. You know, it's one thing to lay it out on the table and make little bitty mounts and get it in your head, okay, it's going to work, but when you actually convert that over to the bracketry and drill holes and spend time making all the pivot points right, the little bars right, you put it all together, you know, there is some question there if it's really going to work. So right now we're going to put it together and actually see if it's going to do what we need to do.
You just have that in your head, just popped it out.
I mean, figure it out till it works. See what works. Speaker about here, you know, facing out, then coming out over the bed. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like really cool.
We finished fabric, gonna make room for it in the bed.
All right, now we're to the point we need to put this bed on the new frame. But as you can see, the notch of the frame and the gooseneck hitch is going to stick through the bed. So what I'm going to do right now is just cut a hole out in this bed floor so I can get it on there, and then we'll go back and figure out how we're going to fill this back in. When this truck's laid out all the way on the ground, you'll be able to walk up, look in the bed, and the gooseneck edge and the bag mounts are going to show through the bed floor. You get to appreciate all the work that went into this frame, which for me is a nice change. But a lot of times we'll do all this and it simply gets covered up. All right, now we have a hole.
I'm about to cut $10,000 off this truck. We gotta remove all this, because once that truck lays down on the floor, we need room for that big tire to reach all the way up here. Now we get all this out the way, now we got plenty of room for these big wheels and tires.
Which means it's got 4 wheels in the back. So that means we need to make even larger wheel tubs in the bed to fit those 28-inch tires.
This is how we roll our sheet metal to get the same radius as our wheel tub. And we need a little bit more. So the tub has to be extra wide to accommodate both dually wheels on the back of this truck. So what we're going to do is butt weld the new piece to the old piece, and what that is fitting them tightly together on edge and welding right along the crease. Just to let you know, welding around magnets sucks. These magnets hold the piece of the metal together while I weld, which is good, but because the welder uses a metal wire, that same magnet disrupts the arc connection. So it can be a little tricky. Welding is nearly impossible.
John officiated the marriage of these two pieces of metal. Relationships have ups and downs and bumps. So me, I'm a marriage counselor. I'm gonna smooth this out.
You on fire today?
Things got a little smoky around here.
Hey, Bill, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man.
In the custom car business, it's always good to get those repeat customers. We worked on Doug's 48 GMC truck years ago. Good to see you, man. What are we doing with this thing?
Well, we're not doing anything to the truck. We're going to focus on the most important thing. That's my granddaughter's Polaris.
That?
This.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I know it don't look like a Polaris today, but it used to. Her house was hit by a tornado on Easter Sunday, an EF4 tornado in South Mississippi. They lost everything, destroyed the house, destroyed everything, lost all of her toys, clothes, and she lost her Polaris. And this was the most important thing that she was looking for after the tornado. So we've got to get it fixed. The tornado hit my daughter's house with our 3 grandchildren, and it scared me and my wife to death. We were here in Houston. She called us right before it happened, and then it was 15, 20 minutes before she called us back and told us they were okay. Very scary moment. When everything was done, and this was the first thing she went to looking for, and it was 250 yards away, and you can tell it may have barrel rolled once. So that's why this Polaris is so important.
You know, we customized a lot of vehicles in all different stages of the customization, but never one that's been through a tornado. I don't know if there's really much hope for this thing, but we're definitely going to see what we can do. I think the first thing we need to do is actually get this thing down and really see what we got to do. You know, get that frame back straight. I know there's probably going to be some frame issues, and put new plastics on it, make sure that all bolts back together right. And I think instead of just bolting the factory cage back on, just build something cool for her. Make it so she's, you know, not only looking cool, but safe also.
Absolutely. She loves this thing, and whatever you do is going to make it that much better, Bill.
Yeah, this thing's going to be cool. You know, this isn't a normal project we do around here. You know, but being so close to the Gulf, we know all about what those storms can do. Anything we can do to help you, man, and help your granddaughter, you know we're in.
Man, I appreciate you, Bill. That's why I come to see you.
You know, a job like this is what I would normally turn away. But, you know, when an old friend brings it in and it has such a heartwarming story, you don't have any choice but to help out. Looking at this after it's been in a storm the way it has, and just seeing the steel being mangled and rolled over, but it just shows you how much power the wind has. Then I'm just happy no one was hurt in that. I'm gonna pull this into the shop and everybody's gonna go, what are you doing? What's this here for? But once they hear the story and they hear who it's for, I know they're gonna be all in. By the time we get a small project, right?
The heck happened to this thing? It looked like somebody jumped it.
Man, this thing was in a tornado. The wind did this. Chunked this thing a quarter mile. You know, it's Doug's granddaughter. She just cherished this thing. This was her favorite thing to have, right? And they lost their house. They lost everything. So we need to bring this thing back to life. What I want to do is get it in the shop so we get a nice level surface. Let's take off all the plastics and, you know, skirting on this thing to see what's bent and what's straight.
Yeah, I'm sure once you get all this off, all kind of stuff's going to be...
Yeah, I'm definitely afraid of that, but it ain't something we can't handle for sure. Now, once we get everything back straight, I want to go back with new plastics, bumpers, front and rear. And we'll probably wrap the new plastics too to not have the...
Everybody else look?
Exactly. If we're going to do it, we might as well make it special for it. We'll put doors on this thing, to get rid of that. It's not as safe as doors on this thing. We'll top it off with some lighting and, she had speakers underneath here, but we'll add some cool ones to it. Once we get all the bottom of this thing all nice and straight, we'll go back with a custom cage, just a one-off, and we'll make the roof a little longer, stronger, meaner, and a lot cooler looking.
It's really cool to do this back for her and make it all back to something she really enjoyed. It's gonna be better than Christmas for her.
Be nice to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
Doug's definitely gonna be Grandpa of the Year.
I might adopt him as my grandpa.
Keegan and Joey are gonna tear this down so I can see what shape the chassis is in.
Have you ever had one of these in here, kid?
Not something like this big, but maybe a little small, like a little tiny 4x4.
Little small one?
Yeah, ride around every once in a while.
Good?
Yeah.
Good over there?
Ready to go up.
Tweak to the rear of the frame on the little side-by-side. So what I'm going to use is the porta power here. It's basically a slender jack. So you put the little pieces together till it fits into place, put it in between the frame and the bent part of the frame, jack it up perfectly straight when I'm done. Double check the level real quick on that.
It's riding the line a little bit, but it's still in between the lines.
We want it on the money.
Well, it's off. It needs to come up on this one.
This one? Up?
Yes. Come on up, right there.
Being thrown through the air like it was, this frame is in better shape than I thought it was going to be. Check it right here. But even small bends to it can have huge consequences.
It's kind of wobbly on that thing.
So our first step, we need to straighten it up.
Go up on it?
Yeah. Go up, Mo. Up. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Let's get a long piece of tubing and stick right here. We went just a little too far, so we can give it a little tweak.
Okay.
So we're jacking it up, push a little bit. So you got to push it up just past level, so when it the tension releases, it comes back level, right? Well, we went just a little bit too far, so we're just going to take a big bar, twist that sucker again, and make it perfect. Man, do that one more time. I think you got it. Perfect. Size-wise, this 20, but because the tornado literally threw it a quarter of a mile, it's got some big issues. Jamie fixed the axles, we straightened the frame, so now we can put on new plastics and doors.
All right, Jamie, I think we're ready for the door, man.
Well, let's see what happens.
Try to get the other door on.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Hey, Bill.
Huh?
Everything's in. Man, it's that much further than it's supposed to be.
To the center of that hole.
That one ain't the same shape.
That's 32 and an 8. Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's got a belly.
Typical job, you thought was cut and dry. Okay, this is bent. Let's fix it. Done. Everything should line up, right? Well, that's not the way it works. Start putting the doors on it.
notice, whoa, this door's overlaps the body by an inch. So trying to just bend it back an inch is going to be pretty difficult.
Where do we even start to pull it?
Let's get this thing off of here, get it loaded up on the back of the wrecker. Okay. We'll strap it down and see if we can pull it with the winch.
Cool.
Tilt forward. We got the front and the back of the frame are still tweaked. So we're going to use the wrecker and the winch to stretch the body, all while keeping the integrity of the frame. And it's the only tool I can think of. We can pull at multiple points at one time and still hold everything from the back and strap it down to the wrecker. So we'll see what happens. Here, come do this real quick. Let me look at it. Okay. Ready? I'll tell you when to stop. Just as easy as you possibly can. All right. Okay, do it again. All right. Cut off. All right. You know, the wrecker and the winch definitely done its job. Door's got plenty of room now. We definitely tweaked it, moved it forward. You know, the next thing is getting everything back nice and level so it all lines up and everything will be on the money. On the other side of the shop, Tim and John are finishing up the extra large wheel tubs on that 2020 Denali.
Now we got a completed extended rear tub. Now I can get this placed in the bed, clamped with a straight edge across the top, and get it tacked in place.
That fits nicely. I like it. Place. Now we can weld these things fully and get ready to move on to capping these edges and putting the bed back on the truck.
We have the tubs made here. Now we need to make the filler go down to here. Something to keep the dirt out of there, the mud, the water coming out all the way. This will really just enclose the wheels and it adds strength and structure to the tub. So we're going to tack it. When we come back and grind it, it'll all look like one piece, like it wasn't made out of three pieces. This whole tub will look like a one piece you just set in here.
Because the Denali needs to look like a show truck and perform like a work truck, we need to build a massive set of control arms to keep all that weight going straight down the road.
Building control arms for a bigger truck, you want to have a stronger arm than your typical square body or regular half-ton pickup truck. That's why we use thicker material, bigger, better ball joints to be able to accommodate not only the weight of the vehicle, but the weight that's actually attached to the back of it as well.
Go ahead and throw the wheel on just to make sure when it pushes out, we're not hitting here. We clear everything. See what it looks like laid out too.
Yeah. The top of this bar is going to that represents our suspension being bottomed out completely, which in turn means the truck laid out all the way on the floor.
Man, you think it looks good in there? You got to see it from out here. It ate up half that wheel, put it all the way in there. It looks good. It looks real good.
Does it look as good as me?
We sent the chassis off to powder coat. Now we can get to reconnecting, which is probably miles of wire, back into a space that's way more limited.
So when we first got started with this truck, I was looking at all of this, that was easy. Very easy. But going back and putting it all in, laying all the harnesses out, that's really, really not fun. Oh, you didn't just bring more wiring over here. I was starting to feel good until I seen you walk over with that. Was that heavy?
A little bit. Now I know why this is a 1-ton.
Needed a 1-ton just to hold up all the harness.
Yeah. You got this, buddy.
We'll have to get that box to fit through there.
We gotta get all these wires, all these sensors, everything plugged back. Almost everything works on a loop, where if this isn't connected, half the truck on that side won't work. If something's not connected, a little sensor in the back, this might not work, that might not work. So everything has to be plugged in. This is factory, so the computer doesn't throw any codes or act like there's a problem anywhere.
Custom frame for the 2020
Denali is back from powder coat. The white is going to match perfect with the body.
You know, the powder makes a really, really nice coating on it, and it gets in every crack and crevice. From the raw steel, raw tubing, raw pipe, to this, it's come a long ways. It looks totally different once you get some color on it.
Definitely looks real good.
The fact that it's color matched to the truck, it didn't look like you just took some frame and put anything. You know that frame goes to that truck on those wheels. Now everything unloaded, everything's situated on the table. We can start assembling the frame, put the motor and transmission on it, roll it underneath the body, and put the body down. It's gonna look good. The big billet wheels on it, going down the road.
Tornado damage on the 2019 Polaris. Now Jamie and I are going to build a custom cage from scratch. You know, the Tornado definitely threw this thing for many, many loops. But, you know, we got this thing back where it needs to be. The next step is building the cage. So once the cage is built, tied into the framework of the little side-by-side, everything is going to be super strong and not bend or give. And it's going to hold everything perfectly level and straight. So what I'm going to do first is just start bending some pipe up, get the angles right, and kind of step back and look at it, see what feels right, and just keep building upon that. Send it over here. Jump to the forward, please. What I want to do is build a sporty custom cage. We obviously have to replace what's missing. So if we're going to do that, I want to make something, you know, a little bit lower profile, stretch it a little bit. Instead of just buying a new one online, you know, that's what we do. We build custom things. So not only, you know, put some safety back in it, some rigidity back in it, but put some custom coolness back in it too. I like the way how everything flows, man. It looks good, and it's super strong too. She's gonna be happy.
Definitely looks real good together.
My kids are gonna be so jealous.
Oh, we gotta build another one?
Man, it's come a long way since this little side-by-side was tossed by the tornado. Jamie's making a custom aluminum roof.
That fits nice. We're happy with that.
And we had a custom wrap made for it. We're adding in a brand new stereo system and some light bars. I can't wait for Doug's granddaughter to see this thing now. So I'm really excited. You know, we finally got this project done. Today's the day we're going to give it back to some special little girl. You know, typically I would usually turn a project away like this, but, you know, considering it's for Doug and what it means to Doug and his family, you know, I can't not help out on this.
What's going on, Bill? Hey, good to see you.
How you doing, man?
This is my granddaughter, McKinley.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I heard a lot about you. Grandpa's pretty proud of you.
That's right.
Your grandpa was telling me you were in a little scary little incident a while back. Tell me what happened.
There was a tornado.
You were in the tornado? Was that scary?
Yeah.
Man, I bet it was. Not only your house was totally gone, there was something you really loved was gone too, right? What was that?
My buggy.
The wind took it way far away?
Down to our pond.
In the pond? It was messed up bad, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Her buggy was only 6 months old, so I knew I had to bring it here to get it fixed. It meant a lot to her. Now it's time to see what Bill and the boys have done.
I tell you what, we got you fixed up. Grandpa got you fixed up. You ready to check it out?
Yeah.
I bet you are. I bet you ready to ride.
You ready to ride?
Yeah. Let's check it out.
Let's see it. Holy cow, look at that, McKinley. Man, that is awesome, Bill. Look at that. What do you think?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
Golly. Wow. Bill, that don't even look like the same buggy.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Man.
Last time you seen it was a little squished, huh?
Yeah. When the buggy came out, I was so excited to see it. Let's just say I was speechless.
Man, that thing looks great, Bill. Tell me what all y'all did.
Well, you seen the parts we had to work with, right?
Yeah, I did.
Once we put it on the lift, we started dismantling it. We really noticed the frame was hurt a lot more than originally thought.
Yeah.
You know, the plastics and everything were hiding a lot of damage underneath there. It had to replace the rear axle, replaced all the plastics. So we put new bumpers on it. And of course, it didn't have...
What's that on the door?
A tornado.
A tornado?
Had Pixelworks come over and they custom wrapped it. They designed this wrap for you.
For you.
You know how we know it's just for you? It's got Doodle on the door.
Hey, where'd you get the name Doodle?
Popsy gave it to me.
Popsy gave it to you? That's awesome.
Man, it looks great, Bill. It really does.
Build a whole new cage. We made all that in-house. Instead of buying, just a replacement, we made it a little bit shorter and a little bit more laid back. Give it a little more cool look, sleek look. Made a new roof for it, made it a little bit longer. We made it all out of aluminum. Went back with lighting, had to put the stereo back in it. And we put some little antennas on the back with lights in them.
That's all. What do you say?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Doug, I know this is special for you, and it's special for us.
Man, that's nice, isn't it?
Thank you for letting us be a part of this very special project. Over on the other side of the shop, the guys are making good progress on the rolling chassis. And now it's the moment of truth.
4 links to the axle, put the airbags up, and then we'll be able to run all the brake lines, the brake calipers, put the front wheels on, we can air it up and roll it out. But we have to put all the wiring on there, all the modules, the DEF, all that's going back on. So the whole thing will be hooked back up like it was factory. Now it's just the tedious part of just putting it all back together.
This 2020 Denali wants this low and loud. We got the low taken care of. Now to make it loud by finishing up the articulating speakers. I got the hard part done. I got the lifting part that's going to lift the speakers over the bed. The next step to all this is making it motorized. So I'm going to put an actuator on the back to lift this up. But I'm going to try to do it with just one actuator and trying to make it lift evenly. That's another little trick too. So once that's all set up, put 12 volts to it, it should lift these speakers right up over the bed. It's pretty dang close. The whole object of this whole bracketry is pushing a button and having the speakers come out of the bed. Just whole overall project, right? What I'm going to do is cut out a piece of 2x2 square tubing to make a bracket for the lower part of the actuator. Affix it to the whole bracket, push a button, and it lifts up. We got all our little pieces cut. We got everything mocked up. The next step is putting some power to it and see if this actually works. Everything we build, you have a general idea. Once you have the idea, then you start building plans. The main thing is just having the creativity of having the idea. That's a huge hurdle. Once you have that, it's just using your skills, using your tools, and just making it happen. Pretty cool.
Everything back from powder coat. We've got all the front suspension on, the rear suspension's on, brake lines are ran, fuel lines are ran. We're at the exciting point now. We can finally marry this cab to this chassis. It's like you do everything, and here's the keys to the new house. Now you can move in.
Is that in?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Just trying to line up here to line up this bolt with this hole. There we go, straight down. It makes it much easier. Plus the motor's so tight, the transmission's so tight that you don't have a lot of room side to side. All right, ready? Yeah. So we put it down. It's a little bit too far off. We'll hit the body. We could hit a module. Could hit something else. So we're taking a little bit of time. Line this up. Drop the whole thing down, and everything should clear. How's the radiator look?
We're getting close.
Watch your fingers. We married the cab to the chassis. We're about to do the bed to the chassis. All right, we gotta watch this bar when we set this down. We can't scratch it.
Down, 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 down.
Go forward, down. All right. Thank you.
Good job, guys.
And now you can see the bed on the truck. You can see all the notch coming through that's gonna hold the gooseneck. All that white shining through the black bed liner just stands out and pops really nice.
Now we got about 40% of the wiring done. This thing got so much electrical going on. It's about a full day of work just messing with wiring. This is the main fuse box to the whole vehicle. If this ain't hooked up correctly, it needs to be sent. I should only go on one way. See that little green thing pop up? That means it's connected and tight. The plug from the bottom is seated properly to the pins at the bottom of this fuse panel.
Man, we're at the final stages of getting this truck off the lift and on the ground. Seems like we've been doing wiring for 4 days now.
I'm so sick of seeing wires. Most of them are plugged in. Only a few left that are really giving me a hard time. There is just a ton of wiring and connectors that gotta get crammed in the areas and tied down. Oh man, so much stuff.
On big builds like this, it's super satisfying to see it all come together at the end. 28-inch wheels, speakers attached to articulating arms in the bed. We're ready to show this to the world.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been here 7 years now.
I've been here 7 years also.
Oh yeah, you sure have, huh?
This year will be 12 years.
That's 12 too many.
You know, it's like anything, when you start here, you know, Bill has his own way of doing it, and then you start seeing a new helper show up. He starts doing it some other way, and you're like, maybe the way Bill's gonna want it.
Yeah,
so
gotta pass it on. Everything will roll along a lot smoother doing it the way we've done it.
It's definitely easier, you know, that we work together so much that we already know how this other person works. You know, I know what you're gonna do, I know how you're gonna do it, and I can pick up right where y'all left off.
We just practically became mind readers. We know what each other's we know what each other's doing and how to continue.
Pretty sure I spend more time here than home.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can guarantee I've opened that gate and shut that gate more than Bill himself.
You're right about that.
The big day for the 2020 Denali is finally here. And JD drove all the way down from Kansas City to see what we've been up to.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill? Good to see you again.
Dang, good to see you, man. It's a great day, huh?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Great day to pick up a dually.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I heard you got a little car collection yourself.
Yeah, I do. I got quite a few lifted trucks, a few hot rods.
But never anything lowered.
Yeah, nothing slammed.
You know, what finally clicked and said, I gotta have a lowered dually?
I heard it was the world's first. I had to do it. Nothing better than a lowered dually. The reason why I wanted a lowered truck this time is just pulling up to shows, being able to slam it down to the ground, watch people's, response. Just something different than the lifted truck scene that's been going on the last few years.
I love lifted trucks, but, close to my heart is lowered trucks, and especially lowered dualies.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
You ready to check it out?
I am.
All right, come on, Timmy. Let's check it out.
Oh, no way. No way. Oh. Yeah, you guys knocked this out of the park. Yes. Yes. Woo! That's what I'm talking about right there. Yes. Hey, I wanted it low. You got it low for me. Yeah, that looks good. The white frame, color matched everything, sitting on the ground. This is beyond my expectations. I can't believe it.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you guys did an amazing job. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. I mean, Timmy, John, they got down on this, as always. Well, how we had to start is picked it up on the lift and just started unbolting and unbolting and unbolting. Once that was all done, rolled it out and just got busy. Built the suspension, the air suspension on it, to building super strong control arms to a big, heavy-duty 4-link for the rear. I mean, this is one of the biggest, strongest frames we've ever built here. I mean, it is overkill.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you want. That peace of mind when you're going down the road, you want to know that everything is 100% strong and built the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you guys did it. So it's absolutely amazing what these guys can do. Can take a brand new 2020 truck, take the old frame out and build a frame from scratch. I mean, I'm just absolutely blown away.
JD, what do you think about those wheels?
Yeah, I love them.
A 28
8-inch dually wheel on something that low, it just makes a huge, huge statement.
Yeah, the polish looks great on them. Engraved the Richline Motorsports in it. Perfect fit, too.
To finish it all off, you see everything's been color matched. Got rid of all the black plastic. We smoothed all that out, painted it body color. And, you know, it just makes this truck look classy.
Yeah, it does. It's not too much chrome, not too much white. It just all flows together.
Let's check out under the hood.
Yeah, let's check it out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks good. I can't believe that you guys took all this out and got it back in and still made it look factory. Yeah, that's amazing.
Man, it was hard enough getting the motor up to the cowl, much less.
Yeah, I got the tubs in here, color match everything. I mean, it looks great.
I appreciate that. You think this is cool. I really got something to show you in the back.
Yeah, let's check it out. I'm excited to see it. Oh, yeah. God, that is crazy. You can see everything.
Right?
Got the gooseneck in here. That is amazing.
That isn't just something that just bolts into the bed. That is all made directly to the frame. It's artwork made into the framework itself.
Yeah, this should be able to pull anything that I need to pull.
Absolutely. Those huge airbags on there, just pick this big truck right off the ground with whatever weight you got on it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
You wanted some speakers in the back.
Yeah, I see that you guys added some speakers in here.
Show me the other part?
Yeah, Timmy hit it. You know, down here in the bed's cool. It's going to make, you know, a lot of noise, but check this out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
There's just one more thing. People are just going to go, what?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Not only, you know, the look of the truck is going to draw people, when they hear this sound, it's just going to project for a mile away.
Yeah, that's awesome how it's got the actuator to bring it right up. I mean, you guys knocked it out of the park. This is a dream come true right here. Hey, you know what? Maybe next SEMA, I can find something a little bit harder for you guys.
JD, you threw us a tall order, but as you can see,